All right, let's dive into one of the biggest, most powerful ideas in all of science, evolution. And we're going to approach this like a detective story. We'll piece together clues from the past, clues from right now, to figure out how life on Earth got to be so, well, so incredibly varied. Let's start with the big mystery.
And yeah, this really is the central mystery. Just think about it. The sheer variety of life is just staggering. But what if I told you that a lion, a mushroom growing on a log, and you all share a common ancestor? I mean, how is that even possible? This is the fundamental puzzle that the theory of evolution tries to solve.
So to start cracking this case, we've got to travel back in time, back to the 19th century, to meet the man who first put forward a really solid solution. His name was Charles Darwin, and his idea, well, it would change biology forever.
So who was this guy, Charles Darwin? He was this English naturalist with just an unstoppable curiosity. Back in the 1830s, he got the chance of a lifetime, a 5-year voyage around the world on a ship called the HMS Beagle. And he wasn't just kicking back. He was a meticulous observer, studying and collecting everything he could get his hands on, plants, animals, fossils, you name it. And his work, especially on the remote Galapagos Islands, became the foundation for his groundbreaking book On the Origin of Species.
Now get this, Darwin sat on this world-changing idea for more than 20 years. So why the long wait? Because he knew it was a bombshell. It flew directly in the face of the belief at the time that every single species was created exactly as it is and never changed. His theory suggested a natural process, not a divine one, was the engine behind all of life's diversity.
So what was this radical idea? He called it natural selection. And you know what? It's a pretty simple concept, but it's incredibly powerful. It just means that individuals that happen to be better suited or adapted to their environment are more likely to survive, have kids, and, this is the key part, pass those helpful traits on. You've almost certainly heard it called survival of the fittest.
Let's break that down because it really comes down to 3 key observations. First, variation. Just look around. No two individuals are exactly the same, whether you're talking about dogs, pigeons, or people. Second, survival. Some of those little variations give an individual a bit of an edge, making them more likely to live long enough to reproduce. And third, inheritance. Those winning traits get passed down to the next generation. Now imagine that process repeating over millions and millions of years, and boom, you can get entirely new species.
Okay, so Darwin's got this incredible theory. But a theory is just a story without proof, right? So where did the clues come from to back this up? Let's look at the evidence that really helps build the case.
Well, the most powerful evidence comes from deep in the past, literally locked away in rock. I'm talking about fossils. These are the preserved leftovers of organisms that lived millions of years ago. They're like a photo album of Earth's history, showing us exactly what life used to look like.
So what does this photo album tell us? It tells a clear story of change. When we dig deeper into older and older layers of rock, the fossils we find are of simpler and simpler organisms. And in the newer, more shallow layers, we find more complex life. This clear progression from simple to complex is exactly what Darwin's theory would predict. Now, is the record perfect? No way. A lot of early life was soft and squishy, like jellyfish, and just didn't fossilize well. So sure, there are some gaps in the story.
We can see this story play out so clearly in our own family tree, thanks to some incredible fossil finds in Africa. Go back about 4.4 million years and you meet Artie, a creature who could walk upright but still had long arms and big toes for climbing trees. Fast forward a million years and there's Lucy, who walked upright much more like us but still had a very ape-like skull. And then, by 1.6 million years ago, fossils found by the Leakey family show skeletons that look a whole lot more like ours. It's a beautiful step-by-step story of transition.
Now, it's super easy to think of evolution as this ancient thing that happened millions of years ago. But what if I told you it's happening right now, all around us, and sometimes really, really fast? Let's take a look at evolution in action.
Seriously, evolution isn't just some dusty historical process. It is an ongoing force we can actually watch happen in real time. In fact, seeing evolution in action is one of the biggest challenges we face in modern medicine today.
Let's talk about antibiotic-resistant bacteria. It's a perfect textbook example of natural selection happening on fast forward. Here's how it goes. By pure chance, a random mutation pops up in a single bacterium, and this one mutation just happens to make it immune to an antibiotic. So when someone takes that antibiotic, all the normal, non-resistant bacteria get wiped out. But who's left standing? The one lucky mutant.
It survives, it reproduces, and it passes that resistant gene to all its offspring. And the result of this super-fast evolution? We get what everyone calls superbugs. You've probably heard of MRSA. It's a strain of bacteria that has evolved resistance to a whole bunch of our most common antibiotics. It is a direct product of natural selection, and we've actually accelerated it with our own use of these medicines. So you see, this isn't just a fascinating science tidbit, it's a massive public health threat. Some scientists are genuinely worried we're heading towards a post-antibiotic era, a time where a simple infection could become deadly again. It's a real-life evolutionary arms race between us and microbes. Okay, so evolution explains how we get all this incredible diversity of life, but how do we make sense of it all? How do scientists possibly organize the millions and millions of species out there into some kind of coherent system? Well, that's where classification comes in. Way back in the 18th century, a scientist named Carl Linnaeus came up with his brilliant nested system. You can think of it like a set of folders, one inside the other. You start with the biggest, most general folder, a kingdom, like the animal kingdom. Then you get more and more specific, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and finally, you land on a single species, like Panthera leo, the lion.
I know, that's a lot of ranks to remember, right? But don't worry, there's a handy little trick. Just remember this sentence. Kids prefer candy over fresh green salad. That gives you kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Easy.
So why is this so important? Well, this two-part naming system, the genus and the species, gives us universal clarity. For example, if you say robin in Europe, you're talking about a small bird. But if you say robin in America, you're talking about a totally different, much larger bird from a different genus. Their scientific names, Erythacus rubecula and Turdus migratorius, make sure scientists all over the world know exactly what they're talking about. No confusion. Linnaeus built his whole system based on what things looked like, on physical appearance. But in the 20th century, a ridiculously powerful new tool came along that let us look deeper than ever before, right into the genetic code itself. So let me give you a classic classification puzzle, the red panda. For decades, scientists went back and forth on this. Is it a bear? It kinda has some bear features. Is it a raccoon? It's got some raccoon features too. Just by looking at it, it was a total head-scratcher. And then, along came DNA analysis, the ultimate detective. By comparing their genes, scientists finally got the definitive answer. The giant panda? Yep, it's a type of bear. But the red panda? Turns out it's in its own unique family, but it's much more closely related to raccoons. Genetics let us see family relationships that were totally hidden to the naked eye. And this ability to read DNA has led to an even bigger, broader level of classification, the three-domain system. Think of it as a new layer above the kingdoms. Based on really fundamental genetic differences, all life on Earth can be sorted into one of three huge branches. The archaea, which are ancient microbes that live in crazy extreme places, the bacteria, which are the more familiar bacteria all around us, and the eukaryota, which is, well, everything else with a complex cell, fungi, plants, and us. So, from Darwin's simple observations to the stories told by fossils, and now the secrets hidden in the genetic code, we've built an absolutely incredible case for evolution. It connects every single living thing on this planet into one enormous branching family tree, which really just leaves us with one final thought. If DNA is the ultimate blueprint, what other amazing family secrets are still out there, just waiting to be discovered?